I've ventured into ICT a little more, fair value gaps, liquidity sweeps, found a lot of success doing that. One thing I can really put my mind to that really made me successful through the long term is that
what brought you from I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars trading to I'm going to use this money to do something pretty cool like building a house. You primarily trade your own money. You trade futures and you trade options, but you have gotten some payouts from prop firms.
One thing, the biggest goal for me in 2025.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Team Bull podcast, the #1 trading podcast in the world for currently profitable traders to share what they know, for our students to share their success stories, and for the next generation of profitable traders to come learn and see what it takes to make money doing this in the long term. Today, we have a very special guest. He's been on the podcast before. In the last year, he is currently in the process of building his dream house from scratch using only trading profits. He trades fair value gaps. He trades smart money concepts. He trades what some of you know as ICT, and he does a damn good job doing it, along with staying consistent trading options, futures, and more. I'm pleased to announce, GD, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, brother. It's a pleasure to be here and can't wait to share and talk to the people.
Dude, it's crazy because we did our first podcast, like 2 years ago?
I think it was 2 years ago. It might have been like the second guest, or I don't know.
You were the second guest, I think.
Yeah.
Second one on. And even back then, you were making $500,000 a day, doing well, and you've kept that consistency going over the past few years, and even more so, right? You've built on that.
Right.
So I want to start on that. How have you managed to not only become profitable years ago, but to keep that going and to stay consistent over a year's time span?
Yeah, a lot has changed in the market and in your personal life. And I think it's one of the things about trading is that you have to adapt. And, strategies, they've mainly stayed the same. I've ventured into ICT a little more, fair value gaps, liquidity sweeps, and found a lot of success doing that. But I think one thing I can really put my mind to that really made me successful through the long term is that realizing what my strengths and weaknesses were. And when I can look back on it from that time, one thing that would really bother my trading was that I would trade too long. I would take one winner, two winners, stay around my computer for too long, and then start to lose. So what I do now is I basically provide an hour to 2 hours of trading time, full focus, keep my notes in front of me, keep my rules set, and I attack the market with the same approach every single time. And, that's what you have to do. You have to be dialed in for at least an hour to 2 hours, because if you go sit down and you're like, oh, I'm just going to win today or whatever, you're going to place a trade today, you're feeling euphoric, or maybe you won yesterday or won the week before, that's when you get burnt. So I think the biggest thing for me was to kind of come back down to reality and realize it's a process regardless of how good your last year was or whatever the case is, and to keep putting the next step forward, the next foot forward, and put in that work, really.
Yep. And I think it's worth noting that you primarily trade your own money. You trade futures and you trade options, but you have gotten some payouts from prop firms. How much, you were telling me, how much have you made off prop firms again? Off payouts?
12,000.
12,000. That's good.
Yeah, I've never done it before. The first time I did it was like 5 months ago, and I started with Apex. But I knew nothing, and I tried all of them too, because I don't know the rules. I didn't know anything. I was just like, all right, let me try this, because people were doing it, and then also it gets stressful trading your own capital all the time. So one way I could release that dopamine, I know it sounds bad, but one way I could is I could trade on a prop firm and not really care as much as I did with my real money.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a release of that energy to where you can find a happy balance, and I did that. And then I started finding success, passing the accounts. And then it's like, damn, this could be a really good, way to make money for some people as well. So I attacked those. I made $12K on payouts, and those accounts come and go. You treat them a little differently, no matter the way you look at them. And but at the end of the day, for someone that's struggling, for someone that's new, prop firms are definitely a good tool to use and utilize. I was kind of against them for a while, And I
Me
start,
too. And now I own one.
right. You are too. And then, I start to use them and realize the potential for them. As long as people pay out, as long as they, obviously you have to follow the rules, and there is a little bit of different rules that I do agree with and some I don't, but in which we can talk about. But at the end of the day, I think it's a great tool.
And the reason I brought that up is because you mentioned how a big shift in your trading was that you stopped trading, for not only the first 2 hours, but for 3, 4, 5 hours. You stopped trading in the afternoon and stopped trying to trade all day.
Right.
Well, I've looked at thousands of traders' data from our prop firm, FFF, and I find that our best traders so far, the ones who are making money and not blowing their evals, not blowing their fundeds, are consistently making their good trades in the morning, like you said, and then they're done. They stop. The ones who are blowing their fundeds and blowing their evals are taking a good trade or two in the morning, but then they keep trading all day. They keep trading, and they end up blowing it. So it's pretty cool to hear you say that as someone who trades futures, trades options, has made hundreds of thousands of dollars doing so, and also has gotten payouts from prop firms. But myself, who does those things, but also sees the back-end data of owning a pretty large prop firm, and it correlates directly.
Right.
It's pretty crazy, and it goes back to what we talk about a lot, and that's quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Now, what I want to touch on too is you trade futures and you trade options. You still do both.
Right.
I've done both as well. Traded options for now almost 8 years. I've dabbled into futures more and more this year, and I'm currently only trading futures. We can get into that later too. How do you decide, hey, it's market open, I'm trading options today, or hey, I'm trading futures today, or maybe, hey, I'm trading both? What's that process look like?
Right. There's not really much in that decision making. I think it's more dependent on what type of trade I want to take. So honestly, I'll give you guys exactly what I'll look for. So if this can help you. So with options, I'm going to be looking for a longer trade. I don't like playing 0 day expirations. I like playing the weekly contracts. And that means that I'm going to be placing a trade off of a 15 to 5 minute time frame, which means I'm going to be looking for a bigger profit target. And that's the way I like to trade options, because I hate getting my contract eaten up by theta, right? Time decay. That is one of the things that really pisses me off. It steals money away from you, right? Your trade could be working.
It's the worst.
But at the end of the day, if it chops around and you have that 0 day expirations or next days or whatever, that could be worthless. So I only look for big moves with options. Now with futures, I look for hourly levels to be hit, and I'm scalping. 5 to 10 points is perfect. 15 points is amazing. That's what I look for. So very small scalps, and honestly, that way with futures, very clean. If you trim off 1 or 2 cons, I only trade typically on a good day 3. If you trim 1 or 2, put the rest at break even, 1 contract at break even, and see that you can get 15, 20, and so on. But that's kind of the way I look and approach options and futures.
It's a good approach too. If you're going to sit there and hold an options trade all day, you better hope the market's trending and you better hope it's moving.
Yeah.
And that was a big catalyst for me to make the switch from options to futures, because this year, I was up like $250,000 trading options, like pretty good money, right? Nothing compared to last year.
Right.
Almost $1 million last year. And I found myself over and over getting more stressed trading options, having to wait longer, and that wait longer, seeing theta, eating my contracts alive. And it made sense for me that I can get on every morning, you pull up futures, and I mostly trade NQ, but NQ and ES, and you don't have to pick contracts. You don't got to worry about theta. It's so straightforward.
Right.
And I love that. And all the same concepts that you use to trade SPY, to trade QQQ, you can literally still watch the SPY and QQQ chart. You just execute on futures.
Right. And that's exactly what I do. I only chart QQQ and SPY still. And some people think I'm a little crazy for doing that. And it's like, yeah, if I go look at the ES or NQ, I can point out some key areas, right? Which you could see that on the naked eye. You don't even need to put the level there. But SPY and QQQ, I chart them out. I trade them the same way. I look for those previous highs and lows that get taken out. It's crazy. We talked about it yesterday. People use all these fancy names. You could say it's a liquidity sweep. You could say it's a supply and demand zone. There's so many different things, right? But it's all genuinely the same. It's just the way you look at it. And that's why it made sense to me, because I traded supply and demand for very much, 3 years of my trading career. Then I started to mark that demand zone or supply zone and marking out New York session highs or lows. And then it gives me a little more of a pinpoint entry or exit. So with that being said, to go in a little bit about strategy, look for price to move off of those levels, find a 5-minute fair value gap, look for that retest, and then we have a good risk to reward typically. And that's kind of the trade I usually take.
It's interesting, and it's really cool to me that you stay consistent with that every single day.
Yeah.
You don't even trade every day.
No, I don't. And that's literally the biggest, I think, strength of mine right now is that I've been able to walk away from the market and not trade a day, not trade for a week, and not really care as much. And I think it's a big strength because beforehand, I would give it back. I would come back at 3 o'clock, 3:30, and just force myself to take a trade. And I know there's a lot of you out there that do that, and FOMO and greed and just so many little things that go within your mind. And if you could just avoid it and just get away from it and realize it's not that important. You took one good trade, you should go back and journal that and be proud of yourself. You followed your rules. And even if it was $5 gain, a $10 gain, you followed what you said you were going to do. And that's really the game changer there. That's a win. That's a true win.
That's a huge win.
Yeah.
Now, with your consistent gains, with making money the past few years, was it scary for you, or what was the thought process in taking a lot of that money and building a house with it? Because that's cool. Like, I see a lot of traders, and I've been guilty of this too. Like, the typical thing is, buy the Lambo,
right,
buy the watch, and I'm guilty. I've done both those things. But I'm with you in the sense that I think that your best move with your trading money is to, A, buy assets, and B, buy income. So what was it for you? Because you've never been a flex guy. You've never flexed the Lambos. You've never flexed the watches. Like, what brought you from, hey, I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars trading, to I'm going to use this money to do something pretty cool, like building a house?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I always stay true to my values. And I think I can say it's one of my greatest accomplishments. When I started trading, the biggest thing I wanted to do is provide for my family, create a great life, invest into assets, and build, right? I want to build something. And, when I started trading, I then watched YouTube videos and looked into it and wanted to just make money then. And then when I started to have that mindset, I started to lose I started to lose a lot of money. And I was working 2 part-time jobs, and it sucked. So I had to reform myself, go back to my true values. And I think from that point on, once I started making money, I just stayed true to that. And I wanted to build a house. I think that's one thing I always wanted to do. And one of the biggest reasons of doing that was I'm a person that learns visually and doing something, right? I didn't learn how to trade by just not doing anything and reading a book, right? I learned how to trade by applying, doing it over and over again, and then finally fixing things and putting the pieces together and learning from failure. So with this house, I don't know what I'm doing, right? But I'm going to figure it out. And I might make some costly mistakes along the way.
Same thing with trading.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, I'm going to have a house built, and I'm going to learn so much through that process, talk to so many great people. And it's really a blessing because now I get to learn another skill. I can go build my next home in 5-10 years or whenever, maybe a year from now. And, maybe start something from there in real estate. So I think that's the biggest goal for me. I did previously look into rental properties, commercial properties, so many different real estate avenues, right? Even Airbnb. But I thought this was the best decision for me because it was a dream of mine. So I stuck with it.
And I think it's dope. Think about it like this. You have a skill with trading that is going to be with you forever. So even if you're making, like, let's say you scaled your trading way back. I don't know what your plans are. I'd like to hear what your actual plans are, but just out of speculation, let's say you scaled your trading back and you were making 50, 70, 100K a year just trading from your house, doing other things too.
Right.
You could technically take that money every year and you could put a down payment on a property.
Yeah.
Well, if you're doing that year after year, right, 10 years down the road, you're trading, you have a skill that you use an hour or 2 a day for, congrats, you now have 10 cash flowing properties. Right. And that is cool to me. Like that gets my bones tickling. You know?
No, that's awesome. And I think that's what one of my biggest goals was, man. And just to learn. I want to learn. I think we're all students of life. And I think that's one of the biggest things for anybody that's out there watching this is that you have to be willing to take risk. You have to be willing to learn. You have to be willing to put your ego aside. We're competitive. We have egos, and sometimes we get shot down, and then you have to kind of take a step back and realize, there's so much more to learn in life. We don't know everything. And I think that's what I love about it. I'm going to put myself at a place where it's at risk, right? I'm putting my money to risk, but at the end of the day, I'm giving myself that, that opportunity to learn and grow. So,
yep. Now, going into, you've made a good amount of money trading. What is, and we might have already talked about this in the last podcast, but I'm going to ask it again. What is the biggest trade that you've ever made? And how much did you make on that? And what was the process like?
Right. So we talked about the AMC one, which is funny, but it's true.
How much you make on AMC?
It was 40,000.
40,000.
And I think what made me the happiest about that was that it was only off $2,000.
Wow, you turned $2,000 into $40,000.
Yes. So it was only $2,000, and I held it. I sold it. I think it was like 67 or somewhere around, like basically the top, very high. So it was really cool. But I did lose some of that money because obviously I was like, oh my God, I made this money. Let me put it. And I was young, and not all of it, obviously, but a lot of it.
I bet, not to interrupt you, I bet that if I had to take one guess on the stock that you lost the most of that money from, it would be the same thing for both of us. And that stock is named Wish. It smoked both of us, huh?
Or I don't want to talk about
I know it smoked you, and I know for sure that it smoked me.
I definitely took a good amount of capital out of that trade and put it in that.
Yeah, we both lost like a 10 piece on that.
Yeah, that was just horrible. That was a horrible trade. Horrible. But yeah, I would say day trade wise, on the biggest scale around 10K.
10K a day?
Yeah. And
it's good.
Right now, to talk about the trading now, I still scale the same way. I don't go super heavy or anything. But I think one of the biggest things is I feel more comfortable putting more size on with futures, knowing that I'm going to look for a scalp. So I'll put more money on with futures, and then I'll put less money on options, depending on the setup, of course, but typically how I navigate.
Do you like trading NQ or ES more?
ES.
Yeah. I like NQ,
NQ is for degens. If you trade NQ, you're a degen.
I guess I'm a degen. I love NQ.
That's crazy.
I mean, it reminds me a lot of when SPY used to move $5, $6, $7, $8 in a day.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of 2023.
Right.
Like last year was awesome for volatility. And typically speaking, I've only been trading for 8 going on 9 years. But from what I hear from the 10 plus year veterans is that the year after elections is typically a more trader-friendly year than election year.
Yeah.
Obviously, nothing is constant. Nothing is linear in trading. But if history repeats itself, I think that 2025 is going to give us some incredible volatility and some incredible trading opportunity too.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's going to be great. Yeah, I think the election should bring some great volatility, great movements, whether up or down, doesn't really matter for us. Would love just to see some clear direction. So I think I'm very excited about it, and I think we should have a great year.
What's your personal plan for 2025? As far as like sizing goes, do you plan on changing anything? And maybe you don't plan on changing anything. That's okay too. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. What's your 2025 trading plan right now?
Man, I'll give you my whole plan. So I'm going to stick to what I'm doing. It's working for me. I'm doing really well. I'm happy. I think it's one of the biggest things is being happy. And being content and happy are two different things, because if you're content, you definitely want to put yourself out of that comfort zone. But so I want to keep trading the same way, keep being consistent, making good profits, and keeping those profits. From that point on, I want to film and document my house. I think that would be a big thing for myself, and something that I always wanted to do. Investing, right? Long-term, I'm a big long-term guy. You know that. This past year has been amazing for me long-term. And that's why it's so important. Everyone says, you've seen it. Everyone was talking about the big drop that was happening, that's coming in the market. It's coming. That never came.
Never came.
All-time highs came, right? So that's why you can't listen. You have to keep doing, your part with dollar cost averaging, keep investing. And that's really, really where I made a ton of money this year too. And my long-term goal is to keep doing the same things. And, one thing, the biggest goal for me in 2025 is to stop being stop procrastinating, just to do what I have to do, work hard at it, and then I could spend time doing the things I have to do on the side. But I told you in the car yesterday, my trading elevated once I gave myself those 2 hours of straight focus, right? No more procrastination. No more saying, oh, I'm going to take a trade today, but I'm going to sit on my phone for 2 hours and look at the chart and then sit on my phone for another 2 hours, right? You're not going to make money. You're out of the game. You're not following your rules. At the end of the day, it's not going to work out for you. So just to get right to everything I have to do it with full intent, purpose, with a goal and a plan, and execute. How about yourself?
I'll tell you, I have my whole plan ready too. But before that, I think that one of your biggest strengths is your discipline. You're very consistent. I mean, you look at your body, you're yoked, right? You're super strong, and you stay very consistent in your trading.
Yeah.
Now, on the side, no one really knows this. Obviously, you trade live in Team Bull every day. You've been rocking Team Bull for 4 years, but you've been working on something called the discipline method. And it's a program, it's a system that has worked for you to keep you disciplined, to keep you making money trading, to keep you on top of your fitness, to keep you on top of your businesses. What would you recommend to someone who is very undisciplined right now, maybe a little lost, maybe a little confused, maybe getting off track in their trading? Like, how do you, as someone who's extremely disciplined, help said person that's losing track of their track or of their progress?
Right. So since 2025 is coming up, you got to think about this. Everyone's going to have a New Year's resolution. And I read something in a book yesterday, and 90% of New Year's resolutions fail.
If not more.
Probably more. And most of them are diet, fitness related, right? So I think one of the biggest things is a lot of people try to say, I want to lose 100 pounds this year. They haven't lost any weight in the past year, but they want to lose 100. How about you start with, I want to eat healthier today, right? How about I want to eat healthier or drink less or do something productive today or this week? Then you'll go to the scale and you'll be 5 pounds down, right? But if you go and you say, I want to lose 100 pounds, you hop on the scale and you're only down 2 pounds in 3 weeks, you'll quit. You won't keep going. You won't be motivated enough to keep going. So the biggest thing is to stay disciplined, you have to have goals that are correlated within your recent time. So that means within the next week, 2 weeks, month, 3 months. Have goals planned out. For me, I go through my week. I want to eat 4 good meals a day. I want to gain, 0.5 to 5 pounds per day, per week. I'm trying
5
to get
pounds a day.
a pound.
I'm messing with
a pound.
A
week. But I want to because I'm trying to bulk right now. I'm trying to get bigger. But these are simple plans and goals that I can achieve and not feel like I'm getting off of track. If I said I want to gain 30 pounds of muscle, at the end of the day, I can go back and I won't have it, and I'll get discouraged. So start small, have small goals, work towards them, and it's easy to stay disciplined that way.
And it's the same thing with trading.
Yeah.
Like what you just said with, whether it's your diet, whether it's your business, whether it's your personal development, all the same shit applies to trading. Let's say I'm person A, I'm unprofitable. Oftentimes my mindset is I'm like, I want to become a profitable trader this year. Okay, well it's way too broad of a goal.
Right.
Instead, you say, hey, instead of I want to become a profitable trader this year, it's I'm going to follow a trading plan today. I'm going to make sure I have 2 confirmations if I trade, and I'm going to journal every trade. Do that for a few days. Do that for a week. And I guarantee you keep winning those small daily battles, the massive success comes over time.
It's all about consistency. That's literally what life is. If you keep pushing towards something, you'll get it eventually. It's just like you have to experience failure, setback. It's all part of it. You have to keep moving forward. And if you want it to work out for yourself, I remember, this is funny, but I remember when I started documenting my journey with trading, I started on TikTok and Instagram. And TikTok, I posted twice a day for 3 months straight. And I only got 7,000 followers, which might be a lot to some people. But for me, I was like, I'm posting for 3 months straight, 2 posts a day. and I can't gain more than 10K followers. And then I kept doing it. And I went from 7K to 200K within a week's time. So you just never know when it's going to happen. It snowballs all at once. I know that's a little corny story, but same thing with trading profits, same thing with gains, same thing with your strength, your body, everything.
It's the same story that I tell a lot of our students that are like, I've been doing this for a year or two. I can't get it down. And I mean, there's a lot of different philosophies and angles we take, but I'm like, let's look at the Mr. Beast angle. Mr. Beast is the biggest YouTuber in the world. Arguably the biggest social media presence in the world. He posted for 6 years straight and didn't get any views, nothing, but he kept posting. He stayed consistent. And what happened after those 6 years? $1 billion company.
Yeah.
The same thing applies to your trading. If you can stay consistent, I don't know a single person, male or female, that could go for 6 years straight, stay consistent, journal every trade, have confirmations for the trades they take, keep learning, and wouldn't find success trading. It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't. And look, for example, Jeff Bezos, he started in his garage with books or something, right?
Amazon used to sell books.
Yeah, in his garage.
Yep.
Right? Imagine if you walked up to him, or his goal was to have a multi-trillion-dollar, billion-dollar company, and he would have looked at you like that, like he would have got super discouraged, right? Like, there's no way I'm in my garage right now, barely making any money to that.
Why aren't you there right now?
Exactly.
You know?
Then you look at yourself and you feel like a failure. But if you just take it step by step, have small goals, it's achievable. It's just, you got to keep going, educating yourself, putting yourself in the position to win. And that goes into my next point with luck. A lot of people talk about luck, and luck does play a factor in success. I truly believe that. But you will not get lucky if you don't put yourself in that opportunity to get lucky.
Yes, you need to be working every day, because if your time for luck comes and you're not foot on the gas, you're going to miss that.
Absolutely.
You know, the people who get lucky, and I mean, sure, there's luck in timing, there's luck in success. You know, there's even luck, for example, in a big trade hitting, in a video popping off. But if you're not applying the pressure when that luck presents itself, like you said, you ain't going to get lucky.
Absolutely.
In the last year, was there a time when you felt really down with your trading? Or I guess better question is, what was your lowest point trading in the last year, if you had any that you can specifically remember?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of experiences. You know, you go day by day, and there's always things that happen within the day. I think for me, it was more about just staying true to myself and my strategy and what I know works. I know I can get distracted sometimes, and procrastination is one of my biggest issues. Is that, like, I'll sit at my charts and I'll look at my phone and I'll do something, and then I'll miss a setup, I'll miss something. So I think really it comes down to being upset with myself and discipline, and that's why I talk about it a lot. With my trading, I would say, honestly, I did a great job this year on minimizing my risk and my downside. I didn't really take any big losses, and I'm pretty proud of that. I think it's the first year I really didn't go on tilt basically any times. So
that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's to have no tilt for even a month. Nonetheless, a week, a year is incredible.
I think it's all about perspective too, because if you're so focused on what happened that day and what happened to yourself, you'll be so centered around that. You'll carry that on to the next week of trading. You'll carry that on to the next month of trading. Oh, I lost that 10K trade. I need to make it back. It's just never going to come back. So I think one of the biggest things is to stay level-headed, and you can't reflect on the past, because I could easily go back and say, damn, that 10K day, I'll never get that back. And then you keep chasing that and it just never comes, right? So you can't look at trading that way. You know, there's opportunities every single day, and you just got to be on top of your game. Study. The market changes. You know, it's not easy. Nothing's easy.
Can change in an hour. It can change overnight. It's definitely not the same market right now in 2024.
Yeah.
Soon to be 2025, as we saw in 2023. What do you think? So tomorrow, we're filming this on Thursday, October 24th. Tomorrow, we're having our first live trading session with Team Bull students. I've never traded live with students before, or with, honestly, even today, trading with Danny and you and Brandon, made $1,000. That was my first time ever like trading with friends. Like I would never just have like group trade.
Right.
What do you expect tomorrow, man? Is this something you think that we're gonna like and we're gonna keep doing, or
I think
what's your thoughts?
I think this is a huge step into 2025 for us and for Team Bull mastermind members. I think the in-person experience is where I learn the most, and I can't wait for it. I think it's going to be great. We're going to be able to share our strategies, show what we see real time, real life, and I think a lot of people are going to be able to relate and just gain a ton of value. And I think for us especially, we also gain value from each other. We learn from each other. We're still constantly like, oh, you do this and do that. And it's like sharing perspective, sharing, everything. I think it's going to be huge for 2025 and all of our students. I think it's going to be great.
I think it's cool that we're doing something that respectfully no other trading community is doing.
Yep.
And that's because we brand ourselves as a family, and like this is something like a family would do. It's almost like Thanksgiving for traders.
Yeah.
Like we're getting I think six people are coming. We had like 80 that messaged. It's just tough to fit 80 people in this small Team Bull headquarters.
Yeah.
We got 6 people that are coming, and it's getting to meet people, real traders, real mastermind students, real Team Bull members that are going to come and be able to see what it's like to hang out with profitable traders, to be in the presence of people on the same mission as them.
Yep.
With the results that they've been working for. Some of them are there, some of them not, but the results that they've been working for. And I think it'll be big for us too. Like, it's so easy to get caught up behind the screens of not realizing the realness of things. But when you see someone you're teaching in person, or you see someone who supports you in person, it just makes it so much more real, which I think is super cool.
I think what's also really cool is that we're bringing them to a fight, one of the Team Bull sponsored fighters. And I think it's just like, it's an experience. And I feel as though every time I've ever met a Team Bull member, it's been like they're my family. Like legitimately, it feels like we've known each other for years. And I think it's one of the most special bonds. And I think that's what gives Team Bull so much value, is that people come, they love the community, they feel welcomed, and there's no bad questions. There's no, you could be a beginner, you could be advanced. There's everything for you. People are there to help you. And we have this HQ to bring people to trade with them. And I think it's just opening up another door to experience and to grow as a trader.
And I'm excited for it too. Not just like for content, or not just for, Team Bull, but to really connect with people, like you said, that you meet. And it's like, it's just so positive.
Yeah, it is.
It's so positive, and it's so cool to see the impact that you're having online in a world filled with so much negativity, filled with so much BS.
Yeah.
To see realness and positivity come and gather in one spot is so dope.
It's so nice. It really is, because, they bring their experiences, maybe their line of work, opportunity. There's so much great things that come out of it for them and for us. It's just amazing. And I think what you talked about, all the negativity in life and on social media especially, one thing that I did this year and dialed back was social media. I really just wanted to focus on my life, what makes the difference within me and my people and my surroundings. I think you are a product of your surroundings and your environment. And, us being here, we learn from each other, we grow, and we become better. And I think it's just huge to surround yourself by the right people and put yourself in that position to grow and not to be around those people that are setting you back.
Do you think for 2025, do you see yourself, what am I trying to ask here? Do you see yourself expanding? Obviously, you're trading set in stone.
Right.
You're going to stay a student of the game, I assume.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are your goals beyond trading? Like, you're going to trade an hour or two a day. What does the rest of your day look like? What's one of your biggest goals, I should say? What's one of your biggest goals for 2025?
Yeah, I love taking risk, learning. And I think I want to start that TDM, which is the discipline method, to talk about discipline, to get people on track. I know a lot of people, like I said, they're a product of their environment. They don't have the right resources. They don't have the right people around them to get in the best shape they want to be, in the best mental space, in the best physical, anything. So I want to put people in the same space that feel motivated. And I'm really big at speaking. I love speaking. I think it's one of my skills that I don't really utilize much. So I want to talk to people. I want to get people in that right energy and space to, put them in the right shoes to succeed, to have that.
That's awesome. TBT times
TDM. Yes, sir.
Both go hand in hand,
They
too.
They do, absolutely.
I think that's super sick. And, it's all about finding what you're passionate about, right? Mm-hmm. Which I think that, both of us have that passion for trading. Speaking of passion, I think that a strong why is something that you have to have if you want to succeed as a trader. So to wrap up here, I always like to leave our audience with something to build on and take from this if they didn't take anything else. I want you guys to walk away from this podcast with hope, with a vision, with a direction. And so I'd like you to start. What is one thing that you want to be remembered by, a mantra that you live by, or something that has helped you to take your trading, to take your life to the next level that you think might help our audience?
It's a great question. I'm going to go with this one. This is something that my dad always taught me. It was just to always be nice. Treat people the way you want to be treated, but you never know when someone will come back into your life and help you. If you be nice to everyone you meet, you be nice to anything. You don't know what value they'll bring to your life as an entrepreneur, as a trader. It's huge. Keep all of your doors open, and I think in general, your life will be much happier, better, and you'll have that opportunity.
I like that.
Yeah.
And it directly applies even to trading.
Yep.
If someone, maybe you see a year or two down the line, someone that you spoke with and you were nice to is crushing at trading, is doing well with a new strategy, is doing well with something, you want to have that connection just as you would want to in your business, right? In any other world.
How about yourself?
Yeah, for myself, it's a phrase that you guys hear me say a lot, and it's 3 words: discipline over dopamine. And the reason I say that is there is so much cheap dopamine out in the world right now. There's drugs, there's vices, there's women, there's men, there's
social media,
all these different things that are just cheap dopamine. Hell, even trading, right? If you're just sitting there gambling, pressing buy and sell over and over, that is cheap dopamine.
Yep.
So if you can find a way to channel your discipline over dopamine and keep it there, you're going to see every area of your life improve. And, I know this to be true for myself because I used to be a dopamine fiend, whether it was drugs, whether it was alcohol, whether it was dating, whether it was taking impulsive trades going on tilt. I would try to get any form of dopamine that I could. And it was only when I started sacrificing those old habits, cutting out the cheap dopamine, and really focusing on building positive vices, getting good, hard-earned dopamine, that I saw business improve, my trading become more profitable by the day, and beyond that, even the relationships in my daily life saw those improve too.
I think to cap that off, all of that sounds easy, but it takes extreme sacrifice.
Oh, it never gets easier.
It never gets easier. And you have external sources, people, whatever. It's sacrifice. If you want to get to where you want to be, you have to sacrifice in some way, shape, or form.
Completely agree. I think that's a great spot for us to leave off. I think we made a lot of strides from it's crazy. I'll link podcast 1 below, but from podcast 1 to here, and I look forward to maybe 6 months, a year down the line, seeing where you're at, seeing how the house is doing, seeing how fair value gaps are treating you, and, leaving off from there. So thank you for being on, and stay Team Bull strong.
Let's go. Thank you so much.